Hey, good evening. Kathy Beatty here with Facebook Live, and it is Friday night, 9 o'clock. Always wanting to step into your life to give you a few words of encouragement, a few tools to use, and to let you know that you're not alone in this trauma of divorce and the situation that you are going through. Having worked with people for the past 16 years, hundreds of men and women going through this, your story, as painful and hurtful as it is one that other people can relate to, and you should never go through divorce alone. That's why there are support groups that I highly encourage you. Get the therapist that you need, get the divorce coach that you need, but do not go through this process alone. It's too hard, it's too heavy. So tonight's topic is something, as always, I'm pretty excited about: what to do when you can't let go. Many of you, in fact, I spoke with an individual today who has years after the divorce unable to let go and to move forward. She did move forward, she did create a life. However, that hurt and that pain still carries with her over the last many, many years. And that should never be for you. I want to help you in getting through that. So, as always, you can ask questions. You can shoot me a text on this number. Feel free. I always want it to be a conversation. But what do we do when we can't let go? First, we have to understand what we're doing, what it is that we are doing before we can let it go. And many of us, as we go through this process, especially you, if you've been hurt profoundly, betrayed, something has happened that is just beyond what you ever dreamed that you would go through, this tragedy, this trauma, in many cases can become your identity. That's how you think of yourself, is this divorce, what has happened to me, this tragedy that has happened to me, this betrayal that has happened to me. And I am not minimizing the pain of what has happened to you. But if we don't learn to work through it, we are going to believe that that's part of our identity. I will always be a divorced person the rest of my life. And that trauma is always going to mark me. It can become how we see ourselves. And may it never be, dear friends, that we see ourselves by what has happened to us. That's not who we are. It's something that has happened to us, but it is not our identity. It is not who we are. We may hold on to it because we feel, as long as I hold on to it, I am in control. I am in control as long as I hold on to this. Because if I release it, then I don't feel like I'm in control. Well, that's a lie, because holding on to it is not giving you any more control. In fact, it is controlling you. It's controlling you. And I know how this can hurt and does hurt many of you. But if you are holding on to that and believing that that's how I have control of that hurt and that pain, just like that barbed wire, that post that I had put up previously about this Friday Night Live. We're holding on to something that's causing us a lot of pain, but we are holding on with both fists. And we're believing that I have control as long as I'm holding on, as long as I continue to feel the anger and the pain and the wrath against what has happened to me, that I'm in control. It's such a lie. It's just so wrong. What's happening is it is actually controlling you, and it's preoccupying your mind, and it's really using too much energy, way too much energy. I want you to think about, this is not who I want to become. This is not how I want to show up in my life. This is not how I want to live. And I know it's familiar for many of you. It's familiar, and so you hold on to it because it's familiar. But it's making you bitter, and it's wasting your time and your energy and your life. And these may even be words that you have heard before. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard these words before, but still, I can't let go. I can't let go of what has happened to me. This is a spiritual trauma as well as a physical, emotional, legal trauma. It's a spiritual trauma. And if we are holding on to this pain for too long, we are stuck in our life, in our spirit, in our mentality, in our growth. We're stuck. And I want to ask you this question. Hasn't this person stolen enough from you? When you think about what has happened, the enormity of what has happened, your sad stories, your difficult stories that I have heard, but hasn't this pain cost you enough? And hasn't it stolen enough from you? And isn't it time to say enough? Enough. I have got to let this go because it has not only robbed my past, the years, it's robbing my future. So imagine with me if someone came up to you and stole, I don't know, some really valuable, say they stole your car, or any inanimate object that has value. And when that happened and you found out who that person was, would you say, oh, well, you should take my house too? And you should take all of my furniture, and you should take all of my savings account. You should just take all my life. Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? No, of course you wouldn't say that. And yet, with this pain and hurt, and I know it's not comparable to a car or any inanimate object, but when you compare that to what has already been taken from you, why would you allow them to take any more? They have done enough damage to you. And if for no other reason than to stop the hemorrhaging here and say, no, they are not going to steal any more of my life. They have taken enough. They've taken enough. So I want to stand up and say, I'm not going to give them any more. I'm not going to allow them to rent space in my head anymore. I'm going to stop. I'm going to let it go. How? Many of you say, oh, I know what to do. I just don't know how. Well, you can't do it alone. You need a therapist, a pastor, a divorce coach, a life coach, someone who's going to be an accountable person for you, someone who's going to say, okay, how are you doing? How many times have you thought about how preoccupied have you been? Have you started planning your future? And that is someone who's going to help you, hold you accountable so that you do, in fact, design your life intentionally. That you stop being a reflex to your life. That you begin to design your life intentionally. So how we let go is we spend our time focusing intentionally on our own life. We grab our own life. Is that a baffling suggestion? Well, that's what this book is all about. It's 8 weeks. It's very simple in what you do and what you do, and you go through every aspect of your life, of finances, your network, your things, your dreams, your goals. You have a mission statement. You work on those intentionally for 8 weeks. And you allow yourself to plan a future, because if you don't plan it, someone else is going to plan it for you, or you will live by default. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So how do you let go? You start planning a future, and you decide that this has cost you enough, and you forgive. There's that word, there's that F word, forgive. You forgive for you. Doesn't matter the enormity. Say, I'm not doing this for them, I'm doing this for me. I have to let it go because it's killing me. It's preoccupying my life, my mind, my time, my resources. I have to let it go. If you remember the Lord's Prayer, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. There are many scriptures that talk about forgiveness and letting go. And I just wanted to give you this one because it's so familiar to many of us. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. It's time to let go. It is time to intentionally plan a life, let go of the past, stop bringing the baggage with you, let it go. Get an accountability partner, get a life coach, get a therapist, deal with your stuff so your stuff doesn't deal with you. I hope something that I have said tonight is an encouragement, a help, and something that offers you hope. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce.